Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're reviewing a Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road Premium. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem, Utah for giving me some time with this 4Runner. I'm going to include a link to the website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 4-liter V6 that goes through a 5-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 16 around town and then 19 on the highway, with power outputs being 270 horsepower and then 278 pound-feet of torque. Now, before I move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, we've got the cool little scoop there in the center. Is it functional? Doesn't look like it, but it looks cool. And then we've got the 4Runner's signature headlight design, and then I like the little teardrop that goes into the fog light. You guys can see the Toyota badge has been blacked out, and then notice the silver trim here at the bottom. And putting it all together, it definitely has that cool off-roader appearance. Now around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 265, 70, 17 in the front and over in the rear. You guys can see with the wheels, you got the silver mixed with the blacked out elements, and yeah, not necessarily the most aggressive tires. It's probably the first thing you'd want to change if you got a TRD Off-Road Premium. Anyways, painted fender flares, it looks pretty nice. Got a little splash guard down below, and then notice the mirror caps and the door handles are also body painted, and then you guys can see the TRD Off-Road badge is blacked out. And then here is your full side view with this TRD Off-Road. Taking a look at the key fob, we have our lock and unlock function. We also have the Toyota logo there on the back. And then taking a look at the back area, you guys can see 4Runner right here all blacked out, which is pretty cool. And then this is actually for the window to open and close it with the rear window. It's pretty cool. And then as for the hatch itself, it is hydraulic, but once you're in the back here, you can see tons of storage space. Also have a little 12 volt there on the back as well. And, or sorry, not 12, well yeah, 12 volt to the side, but also a full outlet down below. A little bit of a brain fart there, but anyways, really spacious here in the back. It's one of the big benefits of the 4Runner. And then for the short people, they have this strap, and then for the regular people, they have that. Got the 4Runner's signature taillight design here on the back, and then putting it all together. Let me know what you guys think about the 4Runner. I know it's been out forever, but you know, still, it still looks good, I think. Now taking a look at the door panel, you can see the red stitching there at the top. You got nice padding all over, same thing down below, and again with more of that red stitching, and you got the storage below that. And then taking a look at the seats, these are supposed to be really easy to clean. You got the red stitching on the side as well. And then legroom back here is good. We also have a little storage pocket. We got some vents, USBs down below, and then headroom back here is pretty good. And we also have a cup holder armrest. Now taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see again with the red stitching and down below with all the padding. All of our windows are automatic, which is really nice. We do have blind spot mirroring with the mirrors, and then you got more storage. TRD there on the headrest, then you guys can see with the padding there on the seats, again more of that red stitching. Power adjustments on the side, and then you have this for the outlet, your mirror adjustments on the side, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable.
Now, before we move on to the next feature, we need to talk about today's video sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Now, believe it or not, the modern world is actually a pretty treacherous place. Every single time you go out for a drive, there's a chance that you could get into an accident. You could be walking in front of a business, they could have something on the ground, and you could slip and fall and hurt yourself. And on top of that, you could just be doing your job, right? Like you always do, and something could happen and you could sustain a major injury. This is a topic that's very important to me personally because I drive about 40,000 miles per year for the channel, and so there are a lot of situations that I'm put in on a day-to-day basis where accidents almost happen. Now, knock on wood, nothing's happened for years, but there's always the chance that something could happen.
And this is where Morgan & Morgan comes into play. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 100 offices, over 800 lawyers, and over 4,000 case staff that are all ready to help you out.
And one of the best parts about working with Morgan & Morgan is that things like the negotiations, the court hearings, and the research associated with putting together a case are all free unless you win. And so if you're involved in some kind of personal accident, whether it be a car accident, a slip and fall accident, or an accident at the workplace, then you might want to get help from Morgan & Morgan. And on a little bit of a side note, don't feel bad about hiring an attorney. Remember that you're suing the insurance company that is worth billions upon billions of dollars. They can more than pay for the compensation that you deserve. So if you are injured in an accident, then you can check out Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy, or you can give them a call at #529. That is pound law. Again, www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy or pound law.
Now taking a look at the steering wheel, you guys can see perforated on either side, and then I like the kind of like texturing here at the bottom. We've got our adaptive cruise control that stocks there in the back. You got your lane departure as well. We have our voice command volume controls for the center stack, and then your regular stocks there on the back of the steering wheel. And then taking a look at the gauge cluster, you can see it's mostly analog. We do have that little screen there in the center though, and show us different bits of information on the 4Runner, but they keep it simplistic. And then in reverse, we do have a backup camera. Resolution is, it's okay. Anyways, before having the infotainment system, I find it's funny that we have a clock here in the infotainment system, but then there's also a clock up above the dash. I don't know, kind of a funny thing. Anyways, analog controls on either side. Obviously, this is Toyota's kind of not their oldest infotainment system, but it's an older unit. But if you like physical buttons, it's got a lot of physical buttons. And then we have our single zone climate system down below that. Little heated steering wheel button right there, and then you can see a charging area. Cup holder right here, and then we do have our shifter for the 2-speed transfer case. So it's in 2-wheel drive right now. You have 4-wheel high and then 4-wheel low. And then our TRD shifter here for the 5-speed automatic. And then you got the carbon fiber trim with this one, which is pretty cool. Another little cup holder, heated seats, and then this is for the rear window. So the whole thing goes down. One of the cool things about the 4Runner. And then up top, we've got our stability control, or A-Track. We have our rear locking differential. And then we have our crawl control as well as our multi-terrain select. So this has all of the off-road stuff that you could want, and a sunroof. Now taking a look at the window sticker, you guys can see 2024 4Runner. We've got all the standard equipment here. Got a few options on this particular one. I definitely think that the blackouts badge thing is worth it. Anyways, total MSRP $48,959. Let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's the visibility over the hood, both the mirrors. Just do a blind spot monitoring throughout the rest of the rear, and let us set off. So I'm driving this back to back with a lifted TRD Off-Road Premium, so it's kind of a funny back-to-back driving to do, but you know, I think it's kind of fun overall. So first things first, I actually am noticing a difference in the suspension. This seems to be a little bit more comfortable than the lifted one. The lifted one did have bigger tires, obviously, but I think just whenever you lift a vehicle, it always kind of makes the vehicle a little bit firmer with the compression and everything. So you do typically concede something. I'm just gonna let this thing figure itself out before I even attempt to go into the road. Okay, let's get up and move here now. Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit more comfortable. A little bit more comfortable. Now, I really like how the 4Runner drives. It just, yeah, going over that compression point, little bit different than the lifted one, but not as different as you think. But anyways, it's such a nice drive. It's smooth, and it just has this kind of like more tank-like feel. I think this is probably the least expensive vehicle you can buy that has this tank-like feel. The Bronco and the Wrangler, obviously you can get them in this price point range, but the problem is because you can take half of the parts off of those vehicles, they don't feel as like solid or as sturdy as what this feels like, because again with this you know you can't take off the roof, you can't take off all that kind of stuff, so it has a much more solid feel to it. But yeah, it's really comfortable, like one of the most comfortable vehicles out there. And although this is like pretty old school with some of the interior elements, it doesn't feel like out of place, as weird as that sounds. Like it just makes sense. And I mean, at least from my perspective, like a lot of the modern tech that cars have, I don't care about it. Like this has, even for me, like this has more than like I would ever use. I don't even hook up my phone to cars anymore. Like I'm to the point where like I get into a car and I just put it in drive and go. Like I don't care about, you know, I don't use navigation. I don't use any of that stuff. So it's like, what's the point, right? I'm like, I just need 4 wheels and a steering wheel at this point. So let's kind of get a little into the throttle. Pretty good. Pretty dang good. Yeah, I mean, again, with this 4.0 V6, bulletproof, gonna last forever. Not the fastest powertrain, but better than the 3.5 in the Tacoma. And it's, again, it's not the most exciting powertrain, but again, like the thing that's appealing to it is like it's so dependable. Like, you know, every single time you get into this car, it's always gonna start up. It's always gonna be going. So I don't know, I think there's some sexiness to reliability, right? So to sum things up here with the TRD Off-Road Premium, driving this back again with that lifted one, I do appreciate the lifted one quite a bit more after driving this. But yeah, I love how the 4Runner drives. It's super comfortable with the suspension, super comfortable compression over the bumps and everything. I don't really have anything bad to say about this. I think this is a great value, and I think that now that we are, and I'm just gonna say, now that we're in a recession, something like this, in my opinion, looks way more valuable. And the reason why I say that is the average brand new car is almost $50,000. This is almost $50,000. This, in my opinion, is a heck of a lot better than most of the junk that's on the car market nowadays, because again, it's got tons of off-road. Again, you just have to do more aggressive tires, and this would be amazing off-road. So tons of off-road capability, super reliable. And it is also a big vehicle. You could use a family. Like, there's so much utility behind this, and it's reasonably priced for everything you're getting. Like, the way that I look at this is, if you buy this, you're going to spend about $50,000, right? But you're going to spend $50,000 to then never have to, you know, buy, or I shouldn't say never, but you wouldn't have to buy a vehicle then again for the next, you know, 20 years plus, because of how reliable these are. So let me know your thoughts on the 4Runner. Let me know if you guys think if this is a good value to buy in today's market.